My fan clutch went out on my 1992 Toyota 4Runner with a 3.0 5-speed transmission. Not that matters, but anyways, it's gotten very wobbly. The bearing went bad, and it's locking up. And so this thing, when I drive it around, it sounds like you know how loud a garbage truck is with how much air its fan moves, or a tractor trailer. It just roars down the road. There are two failure modes to a fan clutch. One is the clutch goes out and it just free spins and it doesn't move enough air to cool the engine down when you're at like a stop sign or a stoplight. And so that, in that scenario, you pull up to a stoplight and then you see your temperature slowly start to climb up, and you start moving and air is being forced through the radiator. The temperature comes back down to normal. And the other failure mode is where it gets locked up because the bearings have gone bad. So these things, they're stiff, but they give, and there's no crunchy grinding. This one, which has failed, I mean, it takes a ton of force to move it, and this is with a big fan on it, so I have a lot more, you know, leverage to turn it, and it's very difficult. It's way more difficult than, say, the new one. So anyways, we're going to replace this today, but first let's listen to what it sounds like. But once you get up to around 3,000 RPM, that's where it starts sounding like, you know, a trash truck is driving around. So we're not going to drive too far because I don't want to be working on a real hot engine. You start to hear that fan noise. There's three. I mean, it's obscene. All right, the first thing we gotta do is we need to remove this fan shroud. I've already taken 3 of the bolts off, but there's 4 10mm bolts that hold this thing on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and just take off this upper radiator hose. I have, my radiator's a little low right now, so I shouldn't lose any fluid. All this plastic, it gets brittle with age, and it's cracked and broken in quite a few places, but I'm just gonna try to preserve it. You can buy new ones, but I don't want to totally destroy it. So let's see if I lose any fluid. I think I'm low enough that it's gonna be okay. Yeah, look at that, nothing came out. Get over that, and that's the fan shroud. Alright, to get the fan off, I'm going to be going for these 4 bolts. These are 12mm. I got a gear wrench, so that helps make it a little bit easier. Oh, excuse me, these are nuts. I'm going to bump the key and just try to get the other 2 nuts on top so they're super easy to get to. We'll see if I get lucky on or not. Yeah, so be real careful with that bumping the engine thing, because if you only have 1 nut on here and somehow it manages to come off, it could, you know, score your radiator and make you buy a new radiator. But anyways, I'm just leaving the belts tensioned and the pulleys on there. I'm just pulling out the fan. So it looks like there's just 4 10mm holding the fan on place. Oh, these are tight boys. Are they reverse thread? Let me just double check that first. No, they look normal to me. Oh. Okay. They've been on here for a while. Alright, let's pull that fan off. So this fan clutch, the original one, first of all, it's the Aisin, or Asian, I don't know how you say that, but that's like a factory part. That's a real Toyota part. And then this $68 one I got from O'Reilly's is just some aftermarket piece of crap, most likely. And you can see there's some build quality differences and material weight differences. Looks like the bolt holes are in the similar enough height. So anyways, this one is not going to last, you know, however long this one did. This might be 30 years old because, you know, the original equipment is good stuff. but I was able to get this overnight and I went for it. But this will probably be bad in a few years, because that's just the way parts are now these days. They suck. They're almost not even worth using. Just for shits and giggles, I'm gonna see how tight these screws are. Oh gosh, I might be able to get it with some sort of impact device. But see, this one, it's riveted together and it's not meant to be opened up. This one, since it has Phillips head screws on it, it might be serviceable. Okay, just like real life, I have to say I can't find something and ask my woman where it is before I know where to look. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, there we go. We got a little turn. So I've never taken one of these apart before, so I have no idea what's on the inside or if it's serviceable. But I mean, if they make it to come apart, seems like there's a good chance that it is, right? Okay, sorry, I should have filmed it because it was so easy to open it, to crack it open. I stuck it in the vise and I put the screwdriver on the bottom and I hit it, and this top just popped right off. So what do we got? Oh, it's like an oil bath thing with a gasket. Ooh, but it looks like there's a lot of chunky things in there. Little pieces of metal and all sorts of things. So this one might just be totally shit canned, but it makes you wonder if there's rebuild kits for these. So there are clutch fan rebuild kits. It looks like they're for like semis and stuff. And they're like, I don't know, $400, $500, $600, $800 kits. So I guess it's worth it to rebuild some of them. You know, I didn't search real in depth, but there's probably rebuild kits for this too. I don't know if that's the right choice for me. So again, I don't know how these work, but see this little spring thing here, that looks a lot like an electric choke on a carburetor. So I guess this is what gets hot from the radiator, and then it changes its geometry, and then on the inside it'll maybe twist something. I don't know, do these things move? This moves a little bit. That does something. So it changes that, and then see how this has little gears on it? Maybe the oil bath, this acts like a maybe a little pump, and it makes hydraulic pressure that causes the clutch to activate and deactivate. You know, it's interesting. I'm not going to try to fix it. All right, so this fan clutch comes with 4 bolts for bolting the fan to the clutch, and then it comes with 4 lock washers for or compression washers, whatever, for bolting the clutch to the pulley that drives it. These bolts just seem way too long for the application, but whatever. Alright, so I'm just going to put this back together. I'm not going to use those little washers. I never had them before. There's not enough room for the bolt to go on all the way. Plus the nut. And plus the nuts have texture to help lock them in place. So I'm just going to get these all started and then torque them down as I bump the engine around and get that back on. So obviously I feel that with this new clutch fan being so much thinner, that it probably works a totally different way. It probably works in a way more in line with the goal of designed obsolescence and selling a lot more parts. I mean, you know just right off the bat that you're not going to get 30 years out of it, and it's so much smaller. It might not even be like a hydraulic clutch fan. I wonder if it's just like a friction dry clutch or something. It just feels so much lighter. It feels like there's way less mechanical things inside of it. So this will probably be something I'll have to do in a few years again, I imagine. Oh my gosh, I just never learned my lesson about these cheap parts. So I'm going to modify this nut just a bit because I can't get the final 4th nut to go on to the new clutch fan, because the stem is so fat that when you go to put this on, it rubs and it goes sideways. So I'm just going to try to take off a little bit of material by hand just so I can get this on there. I get burned every time I buy something from AutoZone and O'Reilly's, and I just keep doing it. I don't understand what's wrong with me, why I can't learn a lesson, why I can't just buy the right part the first time, the original equipment part, something that actually fits and will last. I said I struggle with this shit that's gonna break within months probably because it's so horribly built. I don't know, guys. All right, so here's the original. See this one? I had enough room to put a gear wrench on the nuts to take them off, right? But on the new one, see if we can zoom in there. There's so little space that even the little built-in lock washer on these nuts rubs the stem there because it's so wide and fat. Like, what a frustration. That's really, oh my god, I don't even know what I'm looking at. That really just bothers me all to hell, man. I hate having to modify stuff. I have to modify almost every aftermarket part I buy these days. So anyways, I'm going to go back on with the fan shroud. And let's wrap this thing up. I mean, this is a very common thing, and I just keep doing it. And then by the time you get to this point, you're putting it back together, you know you haven't fixed it. You've patched it with a piece of shit that's gonna break on you. I did find where a good portion of the water was coming from. I'll show you. Let's fill this up again. You see this? This is where the little drain valve for the radiator is, and the little plastic is plastic, right? And the wings of it popped off. So we got a little bit of a leak coming from there. So I need to see if I can find a new one of those. But also, you know, my radiator is leaking all over the place. This might be the original one because it's brass, or one that was replaced early on. But yeah, I've soldered on it a few places, patching up holes, and then more holes come out. You know, I don't know. Yes, we got aluminum heads, and I guess a steel block, a brass radiator. So a bunch of different metals, and electrolysis must be happening. And so there's probably the brass getting deposited, you know, removed from here through electrolysis, deposited someplace else, and vice versa. And this thing might be rotting from the inside out. I've just been using like green stuff in it. I wonder if I should be using the blue. Where's that blue? Yeah. Look at this. Asian vehicle blue stuff. I wonder if that's what this thing needs. Alright, so let's see how much noise it makes now. I'm on my way to the auto parts store to look for that, you know, radiator drain plug valve or whatever. Pepcock, I don't know. So there's 3.5, 4,000 RPM. It is much quieter, so that's nice. But I've been robbed of feeling like I did good to my truck, because I did it again. I put on a piece of shit part, and it's gonna break in the worst possible time, like trying to drive out to the farm or something. I don't know, dudes. Whatever. But from my experience, you know, I have an 83 Toyota also, and it around 30 years old. What this one is, all of its rubber and plastic pieces started breaking down and falling off. And so I'm probably in the next year or so gonna need to do a couple brake lines. Just yesterday I had to replace the rubber line for the clutch. It had sprung a leak and I lost my clutch. But yeah, so there it is. It's that simple, my dudes. That's how you replace a clutch fan, a thermal clutch fan, on a 1992 Toyota 4Runner 3.0 liter, 3-point slow, 5-speed transmission, 30-year-old Toyota. so anyways, I hope someone got something out of this. Y'all be good. I'll catch you on the next one.